From the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's time for Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The following segment is a weekly video blog, and the opinions of the forecaster do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff of Eastern PA Weather Authority LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrus with Weather Weeklies.
And good Sunday morning to November 13th edition of Weather Weeklies. We're going to get into a lot in this video here, and we're going to be discussing some rumors out there that winter is not going to be starting like we thought, but we're going to show you some things that will be to the contrary. We did this in the long-range update on Friday a little bit, and I want to kind of expand on that a little bit. Here's our temperature regime and precipitation for the long-range table. We do have, obviously yesterday was below normal, very chilly day. We're going to be back to near normal for a couple days. Then we're going to go for a period here for about 5 days or so. We're going back to slightly above to above normal. Okay, and that's going to be up until about the 20th, and then I think we head back to slightly below normal, maybe even a little bit more than slightly, depending on how these ensembles keep trending. We're going to get into that in this video as well. A couple areas of precipitation. One's going to be a weak area of low pressure on Tuesday. That's actually Monday night into Tuesday. It's going to come up the coast and graze most of the coastline areas, but it might come far enough inland to give a few showers. This is not a big deal. It's a very weak area of low pressure. Two fronts that are going to come in next week. One's going to be on in the Wednesday-Thursday time frame. The next one is going to be Saturday night and into Sunday. The second one is going to be the more powerful one that's going to bring the potential for a bigger storm, but we don't want to get into that just yet. This is off for long range yesterday. We'll kind of start attacking that when it gets a little bit closer in range. Once it gets beyond 7 days, it's a little hairy, and then things kind of change quite rapidly. But we're still going out now. As far as the November temperatures, we have adjusted this slightly higher. We're going to go near to slightly above normal for this month because we've seen a very fast zonal flow with the Pacific Jet really screaming along. We'll show you that in this video as well. But precipitation as a result of that is going to be slightly below normal. This is going to be predicated on that system here around the 20th, 21st. And if that does form low pressure along that front and get a bigger storm involved, which is a possibility, it might skew this a little bit. So we're kind of adjusting this as we go here. Still looking at any snowfall for the month of November. We had some near normal snowfall, but you got to remember, month of November, you're really not supposed to get that much snowfall to begin with. So I think just off the top of my head, I know Allentown, PA is about 1.4 inches normal for the month. So you're really not expecting that much. Typically in Philadelphia is less than an inch, so some areas further north could get in a little bit more. That target week would be the final toward the end of November, probably after Thanksgiving, if we were to see any snowfall of any significance. But even so, you're only talking about very minor amounts. It's when we get into December we start seeing a change. We have kept with the analogs and the climate model suggesting it will be a below normal month. I don't see a reason to change this right now. We're starting to see a lot of flip-flopping in the models. Right now with that, it's went warmer and everybody's kind of panicking. Oh no, December looks warm now on these climate models like the Weeklies and CFS. Give the climate models a rest right now. Not very accurate during seasonal change. All right, so we're going to stay the course with that. Still going slightly above normal precipitation and above normal snowfall for the month of December. Sea surface temperature changes just in the past week. Not a whole lot, but it's still continuing to drop off slightly in all regions. Near 3.4 being the lowest has remained the same. It hasn't unchanged. So we're still in a weak La Nina right here, out here in the Central Pacific. Our CFS V2 has been flipping a little bit. Before it had this continuing down to January being the low of about minus 0.8, 0.9 before it started to rise. Now it's starting to show. Not getting much weaker than it already is, and then just gradually rising toward neutral already by January. Not so sure if this is entirely accurate. This is run, this is run every single day, and it changes frequently. It had been consistent up until just this last run, so I'm not going to really worry about the flip yet. Speaking of flips, the climate model has flipped too. I mean, the CFS V2 has been very, very warm consistently. It's now showing in the month of December. This is the target month of December. Now showing this cold over much of the area. Now this is the entire month. Okay, this is taking the entire month at average. You're going to have your ups and downs. You will have some warmer periods within here, but the overall theme, if you average at the end of the day, at the end of the 30 days or 31 days, I'm sorry, you will have a below normal temperature regime for the month of December. And that's what we're really targeting. So we're not really going to change that because we're seeing the climate model starting to flip and also starting to see blocking showing up here over Greenland, and that's one of the reasons we have blocking in all this warmth up here. You're going to have cold underneath, and that's what happens in the 500 millibar pattern. So no reason to change December right now, not at all. No, we're in the winter outlook. We talked about how we expected a transition to a more wintry and colder, consistently colder regime not to happen to around Thanksgiving or maybe the week that week after. That up until the first beginning of December. I don't really see a reason to change that right now. I just don't. You start changing things and you kind of keep going waffling back and forth. I don't see anything to really change that just yet. Right now, the reason why we're getting so much warmth, you have this very fast Pacific flow here, very fast jet. Okay, this is warm air coming in on this side of it. All right, and you got a trough digging down here in the western United States. So very fast Pacific jet. If you have this, you don't have a zone. You're not really having much amplification here in the pattern, and as a result of that, you take the same time frame. This is going out about 5 days in the future. This is actually here showing days 6.5 to 7.5, and very warm up until that front comes through. But you have all this cold air sitting out here ready to come in behind it, and that's going to come back through that front, behind that front here on the 20th and 21st time frame. So we do have cold air coming in, but there's big differences right now between the GFS and the European model on how it handles this. Very big differences. This is one thing that happens in seasonal change. The models typically struggle with seasonal changes, and they'll have a very cold look for a while, then they'll flip to warm and back and forth and back and forth, and they really can't figure out the overall pattern. So we have to look at observations to figure out what's correct. Going into later in the period, here's hour 198. This is getting out quite a bit, down toward 10 days. You can see a much different look then on the GFS. Here's a very amplified pattern, okay, very amplified pattern. And as a result, you get all this cold sitting here. All right, now this is around the week of Thanksgiving here. All right, so and this is the GFS ensembles. All right, have been consistently showing that this week behind that front that comes through on the 20th or 21st time frame, you're going to have some cold settling in here, and it's not going to go anywhere for a while. Okay, so the GFS might be picking up on that. The GFS ensembles might be picking up on that. One of the things we look at, like I said, was observations. One of the things that contribute to the amplification will be tropical forcing. All right, and here you can see differences between the Euro on the left and the GFS ensembles. I don't have the Euro ensembles here. I know the Euro ensembles are a little bit more amplified, and it has this kind of going like this, and they're reemerging out here, or suggesting it's going to reemerge out in these favorable phases of 812. Okay, that's what the Euro ensembles do. The Euro just brings you right into the circle of death and collapses it. All right, so that's why you're not seeing any cold in the long range on the European model, whereas the GFS ensembles keep excuse me, keep this way out here, and then eventually is trying to indicate that it's going to go into the circle of death and then maybe start wrapping back out here into the more favorable phases again. So there's a lot of different changes, and it's pretty close to what the Euro ensembles are showing. All right, so it's really the Euro operational that's struggling right now. For some reason, the European ensembles are as well. And again, it seems like it's just struggling to recognize the pattern. And it's not just looking at this going, oh, well, it's showing warm, so it's wrong. That's not what we're doing here. All right, we're looking at tropical forcing. We're looking at the SOI index. This is the difference of pressure, measuring the difference of pressure between Tahiti out here and Darwin, Australia. So if you have a high pressure out here, lower pressure out over Tahiti, that creates an amplification, an amplified pattern. And you want this SOI to be negative. In order to be negative, this has to be low pressure near Tahiti and higher pressure out here by Darwin, Australia. So the difference of the two pressures is what makes up the Southern Oscillation Index. And you can see it's been warm. It's been up positive. So that means positive means less amplification, more of a zonal pattern, and less amplification. And you get that fast Pacific jet. And in order to slow that down, you need this to continue to drop, which is starting to do. It is starting to drop, but there is an indication that once we get to the middle of the month, is that the target date here is actually the 14th shown on here, that you will have lower pressures here, higher pressures over Australia. So this should continue, is what we're thinking. We're thinking this will continue to drop, and you'll get this negative SOI. You get it down in here in this territory here. That's going to lead to that amplified pattern. So even the European model showing this, but it's not responding to the pattern correctly, I don't think. All right, so we're leaning GFS here, or the GFS ensembles at a long range, And another factor that's contributing here is the stratosphere. There's been warming over the polar regions in the stratosphere, okay, but it's displacing and splitting that cold to Siberia and over here in Europe. Down here in North America, you're really not getting that any effects from that split taking place. Not at all. Okay, so when you get out in time and you go to the max range, now this is going out max range here, and it has to be taken with a grain of salt because it's doing that, but it's indicating that you're going to have two areas, and one of them is now over North America. So that's going to allow the cold air to come into the United States and create a negative Arctic oscillation. You're already getting some very heavy snow because of this pattern here. You're getting some very heavy snow over in parts of Europe, and obviously over Siberia and the Eurasia regions. But not here. You're getting very below normal snowfall. In fact, in some of the areas and parts of the United States that normally typically have snow already are really not getting anything, and that's one of the big factors that are contributing to that. So there are positive signs down the road that any of the stratosphere will help as we head into very late month and into the month of December. All right. So our winter outlook said that this is not a surprise to us. We weren't expecting this. Pattern change to occur. If you look at the winter outlook, it says the week of Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving, from Thanksgiving onward, it might be give or take a few days, but still, the general idea is still there. Again, snow cover propagation. Siberia has not been a problem. They have a tremendous amount of snow on the ground. This is snow depth, not forecast snow. This is snow depth over the Eurasia. There's plenty of snow here. Okay, so this in turn will help the stratosphere. So you go back to this. This continues to allow for a negative Arctic oscillation, but what part of the pole, what part of the globe does that affect and help? Right now, it's helping, obviously Asia and Europe. But if we can get it into down the road, give them their fair share, that's fine. But if we start bleeding down into here also, okay, and that polar vortex is weakened and it's able to split or displace, we can get the cold air in here as well. So I think it's coming. It's just a step down process. This isn't just let's just jump into winter and we're going to be deep snow already in November. We were never expecting that. So I think we have to remember the calendar today reads November 13th. All right, winter doesn't start yet for another month. We are expecting to start earlier than last year. We had to wait till the end of January for anything of significance, and this year we're going to have the snow chances in the month of December. Maybe squeak something out at the end of November. That's not a guarantee though, but it will be a possibility. Here we have another issue of Western Canadian snowfall. This is current over here. This is the forecast in 10 days. Now keep in mind this is only going out to 10 days, so this is going to bring your target date out to November 22nd. This area right here is very absent of snow. It's going to start beginning to fill in a little bit when we go out in time. But again, this is only the 22nd. I think once you get to the end of the month, this will be a much more favorable area for snow development. And that's important because right now your source regions for cold are coming from eastern Canada. We had that cold shot yesterday. We need the source area to be out in this area of that cold. So the whole idea is you have a snow cover on the ground. Any air masses that are cold that come over dry land will moderate as they head south and east. You're really not getting cold shots here in the United States. If you have snow cover, it has less chance of a moderation, and then you can get these cold shots to be sustained further south. Okay, instead of moderating, they don't moderate much because they're traveling over snow covered, kind of like an icebox effect. So are the models catching on? Some are. Okay, here's the GFS ensembles as we get out toward the week of Thanksgiving. Very cold here. Temperatures, well, I'll say it's below normal, but this is all relative to what normal is for this time of year. So temperatures, if the normal high is 50, this could be temperatures here in the 40s consistently. So there might not be, 30, low 30s and snow yet. If you have a nice system coming here that can draw on cold air, yeah, you can have that happen. But you're still dealing with a bunch of mixing type things. If they are, usually early on the season, you're dealing with more of that. But you look at the European ensembles, they're saying, it's going to be warm. But again, I don't think this really makes a lot of sense. This is kind of the same old fast Pacific jet pattern, and I don't really think that's going to be taking place. I don't think so, at least not right now. That doesn't mean it can't happen, and we might be delayed a little bit. It is possible, but just checking out things that are observed data. We go into the SOI, the stratosphere that we talked about, the tropical forcing that will help with that amplification. That will change things down the road a little bit. And, it's a step-down process. This is not something that's just automatic, just snap your fingers and that's it. And, it's going to be a step-down process as we head into the month of December. You might even have, like in the beginning, the first half of December, you might even have some warm episodes in there. But I think, by the time you move through December, you're going to get into more consistently cold as the month moves on. So if you have not signed up for the My Pocket Meteorologist Winter Alerts, you still have time. I'm not expecting any snow here in the next 10 days or so, but this is something you want to get involved with if you want the text alerts coming to your phone, or also we have the premium forum where you can interact with our meteorologists and where we geek it out a little bit, go through in-depth model analysis for any storms. No storms in the immediate horizon. We're going to watch that system right around the 20th, 21st for any possible development. But that would be the first opportunity. I think you head into the end of the month, it'd be more likely, and into the month of December. But also these alerts will come right to your phone, give you specific information for the county you live in, and we do separate the county from north to south also. So if you have, you live in, somebody mentioned last week, hey, I live in northern Bucks, the weather in southern Bucks is completely different. If there are differences in totals or timing or anything like that, we will make that distinction over one or two texts depending on the situation. So we'll include changeover times, ice and rain if possible. If that's something that's going to happen in that specific storm or event, and we give this in advance notice before the public gets it. So we will have weather maps out. We will have those weather alert maps out for snowfall when needed for the public, but those are going to be last minute. Obviously, everybody else is going to get more specific information for the county they live in with timing, start and end times, amounts, and that comes before the public gets it. And of course, our premium forum does that in an in-depth discussion and model analysis. If you don't have this, please click on the image below this video. It will take you to the sign-up page for My Pocket Meteorologists, powered by Eastern PA Weather Authority and Weather New Jersey. That's this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, November 13th. We'll see you again next week for another update.